good to see you again. It's been so long since you've been here. You had me thinking you were dead.
It's lovely to be here. One thing I will never forget to say is that we are responsible. It is our responsibility, so to say, for good governance on the plateau and of course Nigeria. Good morning this lovely Thursday morning, the 31st of August 2023. Beatrice Adamu Iji is my name, and you are tuned to Unity 93.3 FM. We're reaching you live from the hills of ZINARIYA, Jos Plateau State, Nigeria. Yes, of course, and this morning in the studios of Unity 93.3 FM is, I call him the shot of Zaba of Unity Train, Mr. Danjuma Samuel Abo. Danjuma Samuel Abo, good morning.
Good morning, Kubi. Good morning, listener, and good morning, viewer. I remain yours truly, Danjuma Samuel Abo. Do have a pleasant ride ahead.
Oh, again in the studios of Unity 93.3 FM this morning, Unity Train is an in-house analyst and a political scientist, Mr. Shaibu Doro. Shaibu, good morning.
Thank you, Kulbi. Good morning, Mr. Samuel Danjuma Abo. Good morning, viewer. It's a pleasure being here once again. We look forward to an interesting interaction as usual.
Yes, of course, we look forward for an interesting interaction as usual, but this cannot be without you out there as you listen and also get to see what we're doing here. And at the appropriate segment, we will give you all of the time for you to call and make your contributions. Just stay tuned. And this morning, we begin as usual. Okay, there are issues, and we continue to have issues in as much as human beings are alive. There are issues you would have to look into because we have incompatible goals and all that.
Definitely.
And so there are those who are there as leaders, you know, who would have to mount one political office or, you know, or the other. Definitely. In order to ensure leadership. And so that is why we have them, you know, headlines mostly on national dailies. Definitely. So we begin as usual. Mr.
Yes,
Doro?
Yes.
Now, this one, you know, gives me cause to worry. And I'll give it to you people as it is. It says, contagious autocracy spreading in Africa. This one is credited to His Excellency, the President of Nigeria, Tinubu.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Well, apparently the President is speaking, was speaking against the backdrop of the Wednesday coup in Gabon.
Gabon, yes.
Now, before we delve into that, Kubi, let's pay tribute to late Pa Taiwo Akinkunmi, the designer of Nigeria's national flag, who died yesterday at the age of 84. The country certainly is in a mourning mood, you know. When you write the history of Nigeria, when you write the history of nationalism, I must say, you cannot overlook the likes of late Pa Taiwo Akinkunmi. He designed the Nigeria's national flag in 1959 in response to, you know, an advert, you know, calling for submissions of designs, you know, in view of Nigeria's imminent independence in 1960. Out of about 2,000 entries, his own was actually selected, and that's how we came to have the Nigeria's national flag, the green, white, green color, and all of that. And of course, that is something that the nation will continue or forever remain grateful for. That is the issue, and of course, you know, happily or fortunately or gratefully enough, President Jonathan appreciated late Pa Taiwo Akinkunmi in 2010 and 2014 by conferring on him, you know, national honors, and then in addition to that, placing him on a life salary, you know, and all of those issues. And so I think that was, you know, an appreciation of, you know, what we can call, you know, a lasting legacy. So as the nation mourns the demise of late Pa Taiwo Akinkunmi, We pray to the Almighty God to repose his gentle soul. We also hope that the younger generation will actually follow suit. Now back to the issue of the president's statement on the Gabon coup. President Tinubu has said, autocracy is actually spreading contagiously in Africa, and that is something that the region is not going to condone. Let me quote him, word to word or verbatim. Here is what the president actually had to say on the Gabon coup. He says, "We are watching closely with deep concern for Gabon's socio-political stability and at the seeming autocratic contagion apparently spreading across different regions of our beloved continent." So the president is expressing concern. But you see, beyond just expressing concern, could be because citizens have been asking the question, now that there's a coup in Gabon, what is President Bola Tinubu going to do?
Yes, with the issue of Niger.
That definitely, because he's been back and forth, he's been very instrumental, he's been very vocal, very loud, as far as the Niger coup is concerned. And don't forget, he is the chair of the ECOWAS and all of that. At the end of the day, if ECOWAS goes to war, with Niger on account of the coup, at the end of the day, it will have been President Bola Tinubu because he's the chair of ECOWAS. So the questions have been, what is he now going to do, about Gabon and the coup that has taken place there? But of course, Gabon is not a member of ECOWAS, right? But it's a member of the African Union. So when President Bola Tinubu said, "We are watching," apparently he means himself, as an important leader in the continent, as well as the African Union and other leaders in Africa, and all of that. We have said here repeatedly, could be that we are Democrats, right? We are Democrats. We would love to see democracy flourish or flourishing in our continent, as it has been the case, in other parts of the world. We would love to see that. This is the issue, and it remains to be seen what the AU, and other African leaders do, with Gabon and all of that. But of course, I think there are interesting facts that I think we need to roll out here on Gabon and perhaps be able to put the whole issue in proper perspective so that people can understand why certain things actually are not escapable as far as modern Africa is concerned. Gabon became independent in 1960. So that means that Gabon is about Nigeria's mate, right? This is the issue. And then not just that, the Bongos, the family of the Bongos had actually held sway, had actually maintained a tight grip on the political landscape of Gabon for 56 years, right? Omar Bongo, Albert Bernard, formerly Albert Bernard, who became, Omar Bongo after converting to Islam, actually assumed power in 1967 and only quit in 2009. And then his son, Ali Bongo, actually took over, from 2009 till Wednesday, when he was booted out, by angry and frustrated soldiers, and all of that. So we can actually see that the Bongos had been in power for 56 years. This is the issue. And Gabon, though a very small country, a country that is even, I think, not even as big as, one of the, states in northern Nigeria, because I do understand from statistics that the population of Gabon entirely is no more than 2-point-something million, right? So it's even smaller than Plateau State, so to say. And unfortunately for the people of Gabon, or maybe unfortunately, in quote, the country is blessed with oil and cocoa and other mineral resources, but surprisingly, and of course, sadly, the country's gross domestic product, the GDP, as of 2021, was just $20.22 billion. This is the issue. So the question has been, like we did ask yesterday when we were looking at this issue, what difference has the 56 years of the Bongos' reign actually made in the lives? Because a country that is cocoa rich, that is oil rich, that is a member of the oil producing and exporting countries OPEC, is not supposed to be, it's supposed to be an El Dorado, especially given its small size and all of that. But surprisingly, the reverse has been the case. According to certain reports, the I mean, the father of Ali Bongo, that is, we can say, Bongo the senior, it was Omar Bongo. According to reports, he actually did have 70 bank accounts in France. He did have 39 apartments in France, amongst other extravagantly expensive acquisitions and all of these things. So at the end of the day, you see, I think it is safe to say that the man and his predecessor, his son, simply ended up personalizing power, pursuing personal and vested interests at the expense of the 2-point-something million suffering masses of Gabon. So we do appreciate the our president's stance on the issue, and I think if you and I were in President Bola Tinubu's shoes, we can't be saying, well, it's fine for a military coup to happen in Niger, it's fine for a military coup to happen, in Gabon. We can't be saying that, because we want democracy to actually thrive, and the world is watching to see, what leadership, what Nigeria will or can do, as chair of the ECOWAS, as a regional hegemon, as an important country, both regionally and of course, globally and all of that. But at the same time, the onus is also on African leaders to see what they can do to, because I think we mentioned here yesterday that one of the reasons given by the junta is that the electoral processes that threw Bongo as third-term winner of the presidential election that happened on Saturday were flawed, they were not transparent, they were highly rigged, and all of these issues. And not just that, what about the poverty? What about the unemployment? What about the personalization of power? What about the deep-seated anger and frustration and despair that actually, have become second nature to the people, of Gabon? So I think these are some of the issues.
It's like it's like the reason for this military taking over in Gabon is not just because of the recent claim that the electoral process were not, taking as as it should have been. I think it's basically about the fact that there hasn't been any witnessed development in the country. Or do you think it's because of the electoral process alone?
I don't think so, and I'm sure Danjuma has something to say.
Danjuma, of course, Danjuma will have a lot to say, especially because it has to do with how to improve the life of people.
Yeah, actually, I would want to comment on the first question regarding the comment by President Tinubu. It is really obvious now that there are apprehension in different parts of Africa because of what is happening. The sixth coup in just few years, and you can see the response. Even the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, has mentioned last night that the police will be up to their duty as saddled with the responsibility of internal security of the nation. That means the military in some aspects will be moved back to the barracks so that the police will really do what they are supposed to do as those saddled with the responsibility of internal security.
Benjamin, before you go to the next point, please, do you think Roberto was making that in reactions to some of the developments in Gabon and Niger coup thing?
You mean
okay.
Ribadu, yes, it's part of it because the actions that are taking place in these African countries is leading to the reactions by the military, and now is a procedure that will relieve some government or some African countries if the military are pushed back to the barracks, because anything can ignite such actions, just as we have seen in different African countries at the moment. So Ribadu is right, and it is the best thing to bring back police to take their duty as those saddled with the responsibility of internal democracy in the nation.
All right, thank you very much. I think maybe we'll just go to our next headline, and this one is, let's come back home. It says, terrorism fueling poverty in Northeast. Terrorism, of course, you cannot separate the impact of terrorism, actually. Poverty will not, be excluded.
Definitely.
If you let me mention this, Doro.
The statement is credited to Governor Babagana Zulu, of Borno State. And of course, we do know that, Borno State has been, I think, the worst hit as far as the insecurity in northern Nigeria is concerned. You know, and of course, like I've always said, a person like Babagana Zulum is somebody I don't envy, you know, because of the myriads of challenges on his hands and all of that. And you can see, because of commitment, sincere determination to actually turn around living conditions and all of that, he's been able to weather the storm. When you go there and look at the development, the level of development, you know, in Borno State, it's even better than what obtains in other states, you know, where we haven't even had, you know, such insecurity problems and all of that. So I think we doff our hat for the man, for the good job he's been able to do there. But at the same time, he has lamented the fact that, you know, terrorism in northern Nigeria has been responsible for the poverty, the surging poverty in the region and all of that. And I think he is actually right, because it's something we have actually seen. It's something we all do know. This is the issue. Northern Nigeria is the poorest as we speak, you know, in the entire country. You understand, maternal mortality is the highest here, you know, poverty level is the highest here, illiteracy is the highest here, you know, and all of these issues. So, yeah, the region has a lot to contend with, and if you cannot actually separate all of that, you know, from the raging, you know, or the existential security problems occasioned by, you know, the 14-year-old insurgency in the region and all of these issues, you know, and all of that. According to statistics and according to even Babagana Zulu himself, about 14,000 people have lost their lives, you know, as a result of the 14-year-old insurgency that has actually bedeviled the northern part of Nigeria. Yes. Properties worth, you know, 4-point-something trillion have been lost over that same period. About 2 million people have actually been displaced and all of this. So you can see the enormity or the magnitude of the humanitarian crisis that the region has been subjected to or thrown into, you know, as a result of the raging security problems and the inability to handle same. You know, this is the issue. And so I think the onus is actually on leaders of the northern region, you know, to ensure that something. Sometimes people speak on these issues and then they are quick to refer to the how do we put this? People are quick to refer to the sort of preferential or the seemingly preferential treatment that certain northern figures actually did receive under then President Muhammadu Buhari. Okay. You know, the National Security Advisor was from northern Nigeria, the IGP was from northern Nigeria, the Chief of Army Staff was from northern Nigeria. You understand, the Chief of Customs, you know, Immigration Boss, you know, all of, DSS Director, you know, the heads or the bosses of the major security establishments in the country or of the country were actually from northern Nigeria. And some analysts will sometimes say that the decision to actually, you know, give those positions, you know, to northerners at the expense of, you know, probably better qualified citizens from other parts of the country was deliberate on the part of President Muhammadu Buhari. It was probably to, you know, impose on them some moral obligation, you know, to give them, you know, the free hand or the opportunity to, you know, to be able to address, you know, some of the issues in their region. Yeah. And that is why it has remained baffling that despite having the NSA from the northern region, the Chief of Army Staff from here, the Immigration Boss from here, you know, a Customs Boss from here, the police boss from here, the region has remained, you know, intolerably insecure. You know, this is
so what happens now?
Yeah. What happens is that, you know, the bull has to be taken by the horn, right? You know, at the end of the day, the president alone cannot solve the problem. Now, I have said repeatedly that it's understandable or appreciable that yes, you know, insurgency has actually bred poverty, it has bred illiteracy, you know, and all of these, you know, other humanitarian crises that we have always talked about. But at the same time, there are fundamental issues that we have to address, and failure to do that would actually mean that we might not be able to address, you know, some of these issues. Because what about illiteracy? The northern part of the country is still, you know, still has the highest, you know, level of illiteracy compared to other parts of the country, even before, you know, the emergence of insurgency in 2009 or in 2010. Yes. This is the issue, and I think that, you know, at the moment, maybe because insurgency has raged, uninterruptedly for 14 years, we could say that it has actually increased the, illiteracy level and all of that. But it is also safe to say that, illiteracy itself has been, a causative factor, for insurgency. This is the issue. Because when people are not educated, when people are not enlightened enough, right, of course, they will be susceptible to, psychological brainwashing. Yes. They will be susceptible to, the manipulative antics of, desperate actors who would want to use them, to pursue vested interests and all of these issues. At some point in time, some people were practically, destroying their certificates and all of that, in response to some baseless, some baseless theories propounded by then Muhammad Yusuf and the founder of Boko Haram and all of this. I think the people who are enlightened enough will not do such things. Yes. There are also reports, and I think truly so, that the large number of almajiris that we have scattered across parts of the country has seemed to have provided an inexhaustible pool of gullible and pliable and gullible and susceptible young people, you understand, who have over time been recruited and conscripted into some of these terrorist establishments and things like that. So if the region, for example, had been as enlightened as maybe other parts of the country, I think this probably wouldn't have been the case. And so I think something has to be done to to tackle the issue of education. You have to educate people, their mental faculty. Some of these are negative tendencies. And then poverty itself, we do appreciate that insurgency has bred poverty, but the reverse is also true, right? Poverty has also bred insurgency. Don't forget that these terrorist groups actually have international connections. They have a lot of money at their disposal. I mean, when about how much money he had at his disposal, and all of those issues, where was the money coming from? So the sort of the economic strength, right, the financial power or the financial wherewithal of the Boko Haram sect, especially during then Abu Bakr Shekau, seem to have actually provided or served as a sort of a pull factor, for unemployed, poor, and consequently susceptible, young men in northern Nigeria. You understand? Because they saw that as an opportunity to actually reverse their economic conditions and all of that. And of course, anytime, Boko Haram was, trying to entice young people, they would always, make promises of, financial, material, economic rewards and all of these issues. But if the reverse was the case, if majority of young people in northern Nigeria had good education, good jobs, earning good income and all of that, that might not necessarily be the case. And then I think we also need to even tackle the issue of religious extremism. You understand? You and I know, and I think we need to tune down on some of these extremist religious tendencies in northern Nigeria. I think that's an issue for another day, but I think it is one of the things that Muhammad Yusuf had actually cashed in on. It's one of the things he had actually fed fat on when he held sway as leader of the Boko Haram. This is the issue. How can you say that Boko is haram? Is that not extremism? I think it's an extremist position to say that Boko is haram. Boko cannot ever be haram. Boko is haram means that Western style education is a taboo or is abominable. Why should it be abominable when you are using the same knowledge you acquired from Western education, when you are using the facilities that are the product or the consequence of Western education, when you are using the telephones and gadgets that are a consequence of modern education? How can you just turn around and say, I think some of those positions are rather silly for anybody who actually is civilized? But people people easily fell people fell cheaply to such antics,
and you that
because of the extremist tendencies that characterize a religious practice in northern Nigeria and all of these issues. I think these are some of the things we have to look at.
Yes, dealing with terrorism also, like you have established already, we would have to again begin to see how we would address the issue of illiteracy. If you're educated, you would have, the analytical mind to be able to make informed decisions. Then Juma.
Yeah, I like the part Doro came on towards the end of his discourse, you know, the mindset of people is that illiteracy or poverty leads to terrorism. That's the notion or the statement that is bandied around that Governor Zulum is trying to reverse. He is now saying terrorism leads to poverty. You know, it is true because in the sense of governance, if you look at it from the governance side, now these monies that will be used to fix places after damages by terrorists, these IDP camps that monies have been pumped in to set up, these are monies that can be used to fund education and other things that will lead to the being of or well-being of citizens of a state. But now these monies are taken and pushed into security issues, exactly, you know, and IDP camps and whatnot. So I want to go with the side of the governor, which says terrorism leads to poverty, because poverty, quite all right, leads others into terrorism. But there are other means of gaining livelihood. You mustn't go into terrorism for you to be able to get money. You mustn't kill another person. Sometimes, as it is said, you throw stone, you don't know in the market, you don't know who it falls on. This action by these terrorists can lead to even their own family members being taken and ransom collected at the end of the day. So we should not give that excuse or use the phrase that poverty or lack of education leads to terrorism. Rather, we should look at the impact, the effect of terrorism on individuals, which leads to poverty, because money, a lot of monies are being channeled into taking care of issues because of the terrorism acts.
Yes, we can have it here and there. Terrorism leading to poverty. And of course, in another dimension again, poverty leads to terrorism. Either of the two, none of them is set to be, you know, allowed to take all of these years. And so with this, we have come to the end of this segment of newspaper review, and I wanted to stay tuned to Unity FM and TV. We'll go on a short break. When we come back, it's going to be the next segment. Stay tuned.
Mr. Politician, it's good to see you again. It's been so long since you've been here. You had me thinking you were dead. How's your taxpayer mansion? How was your Unity TV?
I was the head boy in my primary school, senior prefect and best graduating student in my secondary school, but drug abuse almost ruined my life.
I was on an average of 2 grams of cocaine per day.
I was taking 8 ampoules of pentazosine daily.
European shisha, cocaine.
I became a user, a dealer, and a gangster.
I saw other users drowning. I knew I didn't want to be like them, but I was already trapped.
My family disowned me.
My employment was terminated.
I sold my car, sold my house. I'll go out well-dressed and return shoeless, shirtless in exchange for drugs.
I was saying things that were not real, and I once stabbed myself because I felt something crawling under my skin.
I contacted NDLEA and started therapy.
I spent 3 months in therapy.
I spent 8 months.
It's easy to relapse, but your mind has to be stronger than the cravings.
Drugs does not love you. You are not the one using drugs. Drugs are the one using you. Say no to drug abuse.
Mr. Politician, it's good to see you again. Been so long since you've been here. You had me thinking you were dead. How's your taxpayer mansion?
Thank you so much for still being there with us on Unity 93.3 FM. And it's lovely this Thursday morning, the 31st of August 2023. Nigeria is a multi-ethno-religious society with the approximations of no less than 400 ethnic groups and 450 languages with incompatible goals living together under a leadership for a very long time. Many years before 1st October 1960, Nigeria had her fair share of colonial leadership. History is so complex and proliferated with dark periods, one of which examples is the chain decorated around the neck of our forefathers and trafficked down our very own river Niger as slaves. That was leadership. Another British individual group leadership champion led by Wilberforce campaigned for the abolition of Slave Trade Act in 1807. One leadership made our slaves, another leadership freed us. Thank God for the leadership of Nigeria. At least we are not slaves today, are we? Well, how about ineffective allocation of political and economic resources, amongst others? Please stay glued to your TV set, radio set, your mobile devices, so that you will follow this development as we discuss leadership challenges in Nigeria and, of course, by extension, in Africa. Our guest in the house remains Professor Proveno H. Bameyi, Dean Faculty of Veterinary Medicine, University of Jos. Prof is a public and current affairs analyst, and if you let me, I'll say Prof is an undisputed, relentless, reckless optimist of better Nigeria and Africa by extension. Prof. Good morning.
Good morning, Kubi. Good morning, Mr. Danjuma.
Good morning, Prof.
Good morning, the crew. It's wonderful to be here this morning. I always look forward to such moments. We're going to have a fantastic time talking about leadership in Nigeria, Africa, and probably around the world, because every nation rises or falls with leadership. If you have the right leaders, you'll discover oil in the desert. You have the right leadership, you will turn dry vegetation into green vegetation. You have the right leaders, problems will be solved. And that is why we need to really talk about leadership. Because nations that are great, communities that are great, organizations that are great, is because of visionary leadership. People who had great visions and pursued those visions until those visions were realized. So we'll be having a wonderful time looking at this subject of leadership, which is something very dear to my heart and something I believe that we need to talk about, work towards it, take actions, and ensure that we have good leadership so that our nation can be what it is supposed to be, the greatest nation in Africa.
Oh, thank you very much, Prof, for this wonderful one. And again, Prof, if I'll ask you a question of yes or no, maybe true or false, would you want that, Prof?
No problem.
All right, let's get going. Prof, the challenge of Nigeria is not leadership. True or false?
False.
Wow. Let's get to know false.
You see, our listeners and viewers, at the dawn of the new millennium, as we're approaching this new millennium, experts came together from all over the world. Experts when it comes to the economy, politics, science, medicine, name it. They gathered from all over the world, and these experts sat down to discuss for 1 week There was only one agenda. It was a one agenda meeting of technocrats, experts, renowned all over the world. The one single agenda is, or was, what will be the greatest challenge, the greatest problem, the greatest obstacle of third world countries in the new millennium. And this expert panel discussed for 1 week before we entered this new millennium that we're in right now. At the end of the 1 week, they were unanimous that the greatest challenge, the problem, the obstacle, what third world countries will be facing in this new millennium is going to be leadership.
Leadership.
If you have the right leadership, corruption is not a problem. You have the right leadership, education is not a problem. You have the right leadership, poverty will be eradicated. You have the right leadership, people will be happy. People will be celebrating on the streets. You have the right leadership, medical problems will be solved. If you have the right leadership, there will not be religious crises, communal conflicts, people killing each other, all the violence we see on our streets around the country and different parts of the world. If you have the right leadership, all these problems will cease to be problems. So leadership is our greatest problem.
It's good to know that leadership is our greatest problem. How? Okay, let's look at even from Nigeria, from 1960 up to date. What would you say is your assessment in terms of leadership in Nigeria, Prof?
When Nigeria got independence on the 1st of October 1960, we had a fantastic set of leaders. The first generation leaders, Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, Sir Ahmadu Bello, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe. I mean, it was a very fantastic team. We were just a new nation, newly born, and they had great ideas. They had wonderful visions of what Nigeria should be like. And that is why we still talk about them to today. When we are talking about the labor of our heroes past, shall never be in vain. Who are the heroes? We're looking at that first generation, the sacrifices they made. These were great, fantastic visionary leaders. Do you know that when Sir Ahmadu Bello was killed, he didn't have any mansion? Abubakar Tafawa Balewa from Bauchi State did not have any mansion. Do you know how much was left in his account? Just a paltry sum when the man was killed. I mean, these were people who came into leadership to serve,
not to be served.
They had a vision, the golden voice of Africa, as Tafawa Balewa was referred to, had a great vision of what Nigeria should be like. And they were pursuing it. The whole of that generation, let's give them great credit, that they were out to make Nigeria great. At that time, we were still very innocent as a nation. We didn't know about corruption or embezzling funds or trying to establish yourself, nepotism, and all those things. Imagine the people they trained, that first generation. They were not people from the ethnic groups. They were not even people from their own religion, some of the closest people to them. Sir Ahmadu Bello, for example, is a Muslim. Or was a Muslim because he's late now, blessed memory. His personal physician was a Christian. You can imagine. How do the later Professor who does that, Because they were not looking at religion. They were not looking at ethnic groups. There are people from different ethnic groups. What was uppermost in their heart was Nigeria. How do we make Nigeria great? How will Nigeria advance and become the giant of Africa? How will Nigeria maximize her potentials? But along the line, of course, that things started going in a wrong direction. We had the first military coup d'etat of 1966, January 1966, that brought in an unwilling leader, General Johnson Aguiyi-Ironsi. They came in after 6 months, of course. There was another military coup of July 1966. that brought in Yakubu Gowon, who later became General Yakubu Gowon. And of course, it went on till 1976. We had Murtala Ramat Mohammed. 1977, because Murtala Mohammed barely stayed 6 months, there was another coup. And then we had Olusegun Obasanjo. Then Olusegun Obasanjo handed over to Shehu Shagari in 79. And then the military struck again in December 1983. And then bringing in General Muhammadu Buhari, as head of state and commander-in-chief. And it went on to Babangida. From Babangida, of course, we had a brief time with Ernest Shonekon, and then we had General Sani Abacha, and of course, Abdusalami Abubakar came and ushered in the present democratic dispensation that we've been having since 1999. Now, along the way, where things started going wrong could be, and Mr. Danjuma, indeed, our viewers and listeners, was when people started bringing in nepotism.
Oh, great.
Tribalism, sectionalism, religious bigotry, and other things into governance. That's when we started missing it. By now, Nigeria will have become one of the greatest nations on earth. Probably by now, we'll have been competing with Japan, with UK, with the United States. Do you know that at a certain point, our currency was stronger than the US dollar? Our currency was at par with the British pound sterling. It was fantastic. Even up to the early and middle 80s, our currency was still very strong. But when these issues started coming in where you feel, let me put my brother, give him a position. He's not qualified.
He's my brother.
Let me put somebody from my tribe. Let me put somebody from my religion. Let me put one of my friends. And then those people come in and feel, wow, we have a national cake. Let's begin to eat the national cake. The cake is very big. Why don't we just get a lot of it for ourselves? Corruption came in. And then we began to have all manner of crises in the country, ethnic conflicts. We began to have religious conflicts. We began to have political crises, assassinations, and all manner of things. Because we missed it. After the first generation politicians, we never really had leaders who decided to follow the vision of our founding fathers. The first generation leaders, let's give them credit. They were bent on the vision of our founding fathers, that Nigeria will become great, that Nigeria will be a united nation, a prosperous nation, a peaceful nation for every Nigerian, and they were pursuing it vigorously. But after then, along the line, we seem to have lost focus. We were no more following this vision. We started having people with sectional visions, people with regional visions, people with religious visions, with ethnic visions, nepotistic visions, and all manner of visions. And that is why we are where we are today as the nation of Nigeria. And the solution is to return back to the original vision of our founding fathers. If we can return back and retrace our steps, then we will be on our way to becoming a great nation. Every nation that was great were nations that followed the vision of their founding fathers. They stuck to the vision, they kept at it, they were focused. There were obstacles, there were hindrances on the way, but they kept on moving because they had a goal in mind.
Prof, you said it's time, or you are suggesting that we go back to the vision. Is it possible, looking at how far we have gone too deep into all of these corruptions and ills, tendencies in leadership, is it possible for us to go back and get it right from the drawing board?
Yes, it is possible. Everything is possible. If there is a will, there is a way. In fact, it was Nelson Mandela that said, it is impossible until somebody does it. It is considered impossible until somebody makes it possible, Look at apartheid in South Africa. Will you tell me that it was possible for South Africa to be free, to become a great nation, considering how that the original population, the black Africans were oppressed, they were harassed, they were killed, they were economically deprived, educationally deprived. The whole nation of South Africa was in shambles. when Nelson Mandela took over as president of South Africa. It was a Herculean task. It was an uphill task. Where was he going to begin from?
Yes.
It's just like if you just enter this studio, God forbid, but imagine that everywhere is flooded and you just come in, the studio, the offices, everywhere around is flooded and you want to remove the water. Where do you begin from? Just begin from anywhere.
Begin from anywhere.
Begin from
I was actually wondering, should I start from here or there? And then you said anywhere.
So
just begin.
If we retrace our steps, what we need is a leader with a vision. You know Singapore? When Singapore started as a nation, no mineral resources. They had nothing. Lee Kuan Yew cried on national TV and radio. Announcing the independence of Singapore, he cried, he wept. That's maybe one national leader that was not happy that his country became independent because they have no resources. You know, you celebrate, you dance and all that because you got independence, but Lee Kuan Yew wept because they were relying on Malaysia for everything. But they went to the drawing board. We don't have mineral resources. We don't have anything. 100% unemployment was where they were starting from. Start from somewhere. Get people to begin to do small jobs. Get people to start importing a few materials. Inculcate the culture of industry into the people. Begin to reorient the minds of the people. Work against every form of corruption. Let the people see the nation as their own personal property. Let them see that it is their duty to make the nation great. Begin from there. That was what Lee Kuan Yew did. And he led the nation by example. Not like some of our leaders. They will tell you that let's cut down expenses, let not be extravagant, but they're extravagant. They're not leading by example. They will tell the people, you don't need to eat expensive food, but they're eating expensive food. You're not leading by example. Lee Kuan Yew was staying in a small apartment. When he retired from politics, he went back to this same apartment. He walks the streets of Singapore. He drives around in Singapore without any escort, without people following him, blaring siren everywhere. Bulletproof car is when you have something to hide. If you are a visionary leader, a man of the people, you will not be afraid. So where to begin from? We need leaders who believe in Nigeria more than they believe in their tribes, more than they believe in Igbo or Yoruba or Hausa or Fulani or Birom or any agenda. They believe in Nigeria. If we have those leaders and they lead by example and they're visionary leaders, I tell you, Kulbi, give us a short time. You will see what is happening in a few nations that will begin to happen in Nigeria. A man became president of Zambia. Within a few years, he was reversing the economy. Somebody is doing that in Malawi. People say, is it magic? How can the economy of a nation within a few years begin to turn around? Botswana is one of the leading economies now, rising economies in Africa. Look at Rwanda. Paul Kagame, within this short time, has made Rwanda one of the best destinations in Africa. Kigali, I have visited Kigali several times. The Kigali Convention Center is one of the perfections of architecture in the world. On the streets of Kigali, you will not see a single piece of refuse. You will not see leather bag. In fact, they will not allow you to bring in polythene bag, leather bag into their country. They removed my own from the airport. They open my bag and remove what we call leather bag in Nigeria, and all the rest, they remove it. You will not find it in any store, in any shop. Nobody gives you because it is not biodegradable. What they give you is paper packs that are biodegradable. They don't want any pollution on their streets. Talk about security. I came out in Kigali, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., the streets are secure. People are moving about their normal business. Soldiers are on the streets not to harass people. Not to say, why are you coming back at this time? 3 a.m., why did you go? No, it's not their business. Their business is to protect you, to secure you. That's why you don't hear, all those crimes. Why it took a visionary leader in the person of Paul Kagame. When he came in, he said, Rwanda should be a country for all Rwandans. I don't care your ethnic group. From this time henceforth, nobody is Hutu, nobody is Tutsi, nobody is all those ethnic groups. We are all Rwandans. That's what we need. If we have that in Nigeria, I tell you, Nigeria will be on her way to greatness, where people are appointed based on merit, not because they have connections. Not because their uncle is there. Not because they helped the man to win elections or do anything. We currently have a problem in our country. Somebody that is a youth corper is the Minister of Arts and Culture and whatever. And people are saying you cannot be a youth corper and still be a minister. And others supporters are saying no, there is no problem. But NYC has come out to say it is not compatible to be a minister, be a corper. Is it that there is no Nigerian on earth or a woman that can be minister, that you are giving it to a copper who has not finished her youth service? This is the problem. Why? Because somebody feels, I need to compensate this woman. Maybe she supported me. Or maybe she has a godfather somewhere, that is saying, put her there. And all those things. Nigeria is a nation with more than 200 million fantastic, brilliant, intelligent people with great potentials. I tell you that we have people who are 10 times better than her that can replace her. But because of some nepotistic considerations, some partisan considerations, they will not allow them. And that is why our nation is not making progress. Go to Rwanda, learn an example. We can learn a lot of examples. People across political parties are there in the parliament. In fact, Rwanda is one of the nations with the highest number of women in parliament. You go there, you are not there because you are from a part of the country. Nobody cares where you come from. All they want is quality. All they want is based on merit. All they want is, are you ready to move the country forward? That's the kind of mentality we should have. And if we bring in leaders who believe in the greatness of Nigeria, those leaders will lead Nigeria into the promised land. And I tell you that it's an easy job because Nigeria is already blessed with natural resources. We have oil that will last us the next 50 years plus. We have gas that we are still discovering. We have bitumen. We have all manner of things in different states. We are still discovering some in different parts of even the north. So Nigeria is blessed. Resources is not our problem. Our problem is leadership and managing the human resources we have so that we can achieve greatness as a nation.
Wow. It's been a wonderful... Benjamin, before we go on a short break, please.
Prof, it's very enriching and educating listening to you, but time will not permit. I wanted asking you, is it too late? But I love the analogy you brought about Likitan Unity. That says you can make something out of nothing. So as we say in political science, case study, I want you to take the issue in Gabon as a case study, and I also want you to take the issue in Nigeria that the coup has not taken place as a case study and tell us what is the way forward.
That's right. Gabon is an interesting case study. While I was coming here, I was listening to you. You commented briefly about Gabon. I think Doro was talking about, Shaibu Doro was talking about the coup in Gabon. Well, you know that Gabon, they're just like Nigeria, but it's a very small African country. The population of Gabon is 2.3 million people. That's smaller than Plateau State, smaller than Bauchi State. Very small, 2.3 million people, a whole country, small population. But yet that nation is an oil-producing country. Gabon even has a functional refinery more than Nigeria. Gabon, on the average, will export crude worth at least $3.6 billion in a year. That's if they don't do much. Just a conservative estimate, $3.6 billion worth of crude exported for a small country of 2.3 million people. Do the arithmetic, But yet that nation of Gabon has only 8% of her roads paved.
Imagine.
The remaining 92% of the roads in Gabon are unpaved roads. What in Nigeria will say untarred roads.
Can
Can you imagine? Gabon has 7,041 kilometers of road network, and only about 671 kilometers are paved roads in the whole country. What are they using? What are they doing with all the billions of dollars from oil, you ask yourself? Omar Bongo, who is the second president of Gabon, he took over as president in 1967 and was president till he died in June 2009. He remained president until he died. It was death that stopped him from continuing. Maybe he will have continued as president till today, you know. But death took him away. He was already 73, so he was already an old man. And for 56 years, his own family has ruled Gabon. Out of the 63 years they have been independent. The first president, Lion Ba, died in office while Omar Bongo was the vice president. So he took over and subsequently has been winning elections and winning elections until the opposition got tired and said, let there be term limit. They put a term limit and said, okay, let it be 5 years, and only once. Later he changed it and said there is no more term limit, and each term will be 7 years, and then you can stay in office for life. And that is the problem we are having in Africa. A blessed nation. They are a fantastic nation, a nation with mineral resources. One family has been ruling not because they are the most qualified, but because the father wanted to perpetuate himself. Omar Bongo has more than 30 children from different women. We only know 3 women that he was officially married, but other women had children for him. He has more than 30. Ali Bongo, his son, not the eldest of his children, but the child from his second wife, was defense minister when his father was president of the country. So you can see that they made leading the nation a family affair. So that when the father is no more, the son will take over. That's what some few other African countries are trying to do, you know. So this is Gabon that we're talking about. The man named his hometown after himself, Bongoville. And the national stadium was named after him. The national university is called Omar Bongo University. That's the same university attended by other people, including the one that has just taken over power currently, you know. So, do you blame the coup plotters? I don't blame them, because it is the failure of leadership that brings in the military. If the people enjoy your leadership, if the people see that you are a sacrificial leader, they will be out on the streets to protect you, not to celebrate when you are removed, because you can see the celebration going on now in Gabon. I can tell you, in Russia, Mikhail Gorbachev was overthrown by the military in 1991. When he was overthrown, it's the Russians that came out on the streets and stopped the military. The coup d'etat only lasted 2 days. Mikhail Gorbachev was back to power.
Thank you very much, Prof. It's been a wonderful one having you in the studio already. We'll go on a short break. Before we go on a short break, there's this special invitation to all of you. Just Christian Refugee for Children Foundation, JCRLCF, Jos Plateau State, Nigeria, invites you to her Thanksgiving anniversary celebration and launching of magazine, children audio album and display of handcrafted products. That is on Sunday, 3rd September 2023, and the time is 9 o'clock a.m. The venue is JCRFCF Chapel of Grace Auditorium behind Phototech Abattoir Jos. You too can take advantage of our wide coverage on radio, TV, live streaming on Facebook and YouTube to promote your event. Good. It's good to know that you're there. And thank you. Just stay tuned. We'll be right back. Thank you.
Mr. Politician, it's good to see you again. It's been so long since you've been here. You had me thinking you were dead. How's your taxpayer mansion? How was your...
Unity TV.
was the head boy in my primary school, senior prefect and best graduating student in my secondary school, but drug abuse almost ruined my life.
I was on an average of 2 grams of cocaine per day.
I was taking 8 ampoules of pentazosine daily.
European shisha, cocaine.
I became a user, a dealer, and a gangster.
I saw other users drowning. I knew I didn't want to be like them, but I was already trapped.
My family disowned me.
My employment was terminated.
I sold my car, sold my house. I'll go out well dressed and return shoeless, shirtless in exchange for drugs.
I was seeing things that were not real, and I once stabbed myself because I felt something crawling under my skin.
I contacted NDLEA and started therapy.
I spent 3 months in therapy.
I spent 8 months.
It's easy to relapse, but your mind has to be stronger than the cravings.
Drugs does not love you. You are not the one using drugs. Drugs are the one using you. Say no to drug abuse.
Mr. Politician, it's good to see you again. It's been so long since you've been here. You had me thinking you were dead. How's your taxpayer?
So much for being there with us on Unity 93.3 FM. Patrice Adamoiji remains my name, and this is Unity Train. Those of you following on social media platform Unity Radio FM/TV, just you'll be live with us. And again, we're also streaming on Facebook and YouTube. You can also get us on TV. Yes, you get all of the details on how to connect with us on all of our social media platforms. Yes, of course, in the studio, it has been Professor H. Bameyi. Bameyi, it's so lovely already to have you in the studio. You know, before we, get on air again, we were talking and we said it's very possible that in Nigeria people would not like people who are bold like you to say what is there so that there will be good governance. But by the way, you answered the first question. I mean, part A of Donjuma's question, remaining part B. It has to do with Nigeria. Donjuma.
Definitely.
Yeah, thank you very much. We are looking at these 2 case studies. Gabon. We can talk more and more about Gabon, but we'll talk about Nigeria. Nigeria has a lot to learn from Gabon, what is happening currently in Gabon, because Gabon looks up to Nigeria as a big brother, in spite of the fact that they got their independence 2 months before us. Gabon became an independent country on the 17th of August, 1960, ahead of Nigeria that got independence on the 1st of October, 1960. But they were colonized by 2 different colonial masters. While we were colonized by Britain, they were colonized by the French. And so the challenges are a bit different in the sense that the British colonial masters, when they give you independence, you are truly independent. But France, when they give independence, you are not really independent. You are still dependent on them. You rule your country, but you pledge your allegiance to France. They still control your economy and even your military, and take a lot of decisions on your behalf. So you're still depending on them. Nigeria is a fantastic case study when it comes to talking about leadership. This is a country that is blessed with more than 350 different ethnic nationalities, ethnic groups. This is a country that currently we have 36 states and 1 federal capital territory. This is a country where we have over 200 universities currently, private and public universities. This is a country where we have fantastic wonderful mineral resources all over the country. This is a country where we have religion plays an important role. We have religious leaders that are reckoned with all over the world, whether it is in Islam, whether it is in Christianity. In fact, this is a nation where one of our biggest industries is the tourism industry, religious tourism. People come to Nigeria from all over the world on religious grounds. Not only Islam and Christianity, but even traditional religion. Recently, there was the traditional religious festival of Oshun, Ifa, and the rest in Oyo State, and Osun State, and people came from all over the world, even from Europe. You know, they came all over. You see them there. You know, now in Lagos, in Oyo State, Osun State, Ogun State, they even have a public holiday for traditionalists. And people come from all over the world, you know. So this nation is fantastic. This nation is blessed. This nation is a sleeping giant. This is a nation with a lot of potentials. But giant. We don't have leaders who harness these potentials for greatness. That is the problem. We don't have them. If we have a leader that will harness these potentials, bring them together, Nigeria will be greater than China. China has over 1 billion people. And the Chinese are using their population and their diversity to achieve greatness and promote themselves around the world. While we are using our population and our diversity as a source of disunity and problems, another country is using it to their advantage. So Nigeria is a nation that amazes me. The good thing about Nigerians is that we are survivors. No matter what we've passed through, we always survive. You will see that, you will hear that Nigerians will be destroyed today, that there is fighting, that Nigeria will cease to be. Tomorrow you come there, you meet people having a party in the same place. You know, a few years ago I was traveling when I was coming to Nigeria. As soon as I got to Murtala International Airport, arrived Lagos, friends from other parts of the country were telling me, you're going to Plateau State, they're killing people there. They're fighting. So think about it. I said, wow, so that is what is happening. I thought when I arrive, I will see dead bodies on the streets. I arrived and I saw people dancing and singing. I mean, a nice time. That's why Butrus Ghali, when he was leaving the United Nations, he was asked, if where would you want to stay after retiring, which country of the world? Of course, US #1. They said, if you have another chance, where else would you want to live? He said, Nigeria. The journalists were shocked. Nigeria of all nations? Why would you want to be in Nigeria? The man said, because you know Nigeria. You hear today that Nigeria is on fire, that people are fighting, they're killing. Go there the next day, you will see everywhere is quiet. Nigerians are survivors. It's a fantastic, interesting nation. It's a nation of people who know how to survive the harshest conditions on earth. You know, somebody told me when I was to come to Plateau State while I was out of the country, that the worst place on earth to live is Plateau State. Don't come there.
Oh, wow.
It's the worst place to live on earth. You know? Because I was hearing of all those killings, the herdsmen, the terrorists, you know, and all that. You know, when you're outside Nigeria, the way the matter is magnified. They are not going to tell you that it's Mangu or Riomo. They will tell you that it's in Jos. They will tell you that see dead bodies. They will be showing you pictures of dead body, fresh blood everywhere. Once again, show you what is happening, you know, and you just think that the whole country is just full of blood. But Nigerians are fantastic and wonderful people. What we don't have is fantastic visionary leaders to match the intelligence of Nigerians. Nigerians are extremely intelligent, but our leaders, I can't say that about them.
Oh, Nigerians are fantastic people. But we seem not to have fantastic visionary leaders. Now is that moment with which you can call us and let's get your contributions. Remember, when you call us, tell us your name and where you're calling us from. Straight ahead in a minute, give us your contribution. And then, comments made on this platform, they are not in any way the position of Unity 93.3 FM. And the number, of course, it's 070-3235-3315.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's good to have you.
Yeah, my name is Suna. I'm calling you from Masu.
Sule, you have a minute. Thanks for calling.
You have a wonderful the way you were telling the truth on what is going on the street. But we hope India is going back again. I hope our leaders will see the nation that happen in other countries. Because it's the only thing that we have, we don't have leadership. But as the professor said, we have all the potential that we consider when either American or China. So we hope our leaders will continue to do the same thing. Because when the leaders are there, there is no any phenomenon or fighting that is going to break anymore. I hope that they are going to do the next thing. Thank you. May God continue to make the produce and also the
Thank you very much for calling. And this one is SMS say, good morning, Kulbi, Doro, and Danjuma. Please, do you think that Nigerian security officers are not politicized? Peter Bala from Gumo. Oh, Peter Bala, a very good one. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, it's good to have you.
Thank you very much. This is Pastor Rick from Western here in Jos.
It's wonderful to have you. You have a minute.
I think your guest today, you see, like your guest has said, Nigeria is fantastic people. I don't know whether I will say it this way as one of the U.S. persons said that Nigeria is fantastic, also fantastic in corruption.
Okay.
Having said this, you see, if you look at how we are and how our leaders have used our docility and attitude of letting go, we have used it to mismanage our economy and our system. You just plead in your heart, like he said, we have intelligent people. But these intelligent people have allowed the few to keep making Nigeria ungovernable. Then, you watch what happened 2023 election. Those who cheated, those who manipulated the system are still walking in the streets of Nigeria today. In other countries, it will not happen. Have anyone from the taxpayers was released into the hand of the INEC, and all the media messages of how this process would be through was bastardized and manipulated.
Thank you.
This is what we are seeing in other parts of Africa, like what happened in Gabon now. How can the leaders will stay in this seat for 56 years? Only this family and the house are running the affairs of the country as if there is no other people in that same country. If we need to talk about them, we need to be very careful, because this thing that wag others tell
Thank you.
can buy other countries like Nigeria.
Thank you very much.
Don't think so.
Thank
you very much, and may God bless you all.
Thank you very much. One of the things that can be underlined in his submission is that the fantastic and intelligent Nigerians have allowed, the very few individuals to continue leading the nations down. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hello, good morning. We can hear you.
Hello, my name is Alino. I'm calling from Angola.
That is good too. Have you a minute, please?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go on.
God bless you, Prof. Prof, you have said it all.
Thank you.
It's only in Nigeria you see a political leader or office holder looted more than half of the budget of the entire country. And when he found guilty, the judge, the court was going to pay a certain amount of money. The court was going to pay, let's say, 500,000 naira. Are they not encouraging corruption? They are all talking of corruption. This is what is killing our nation. You see? God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's good to have you there. Before Danjuma begin to read some of these messages, let's pick a few more calls. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Oh, this one is not... maybe this is not for Danjuma. Neither is it for Prof.
Thank you, listener, for staying tuned. And our viewer, we'll take this Facebook comments. As we always say, without you, there is no us. We thank you for participating and contributing. The first comment here is from Ibrahim Hassan Abubakar. He said, this is a welcome development to watch you live. That was on TV. Another commentator here, Yusuf Lawan Sani. Good morning, Kulbi and Mr. Danjuma. We are so grateful for having Professor as a guest today. We are indeed enjoying your analysis. Keep it up, sir. To you, Prof.
Thank you.
Aminu Abdullahi Shaibu. Good morning, Kubi, Danjuma Shaibu Doro. Thank God for another blessing. I'm watching you live from Rikos New Layout. Continue to preach peace, because if there is no peace, there is no development. Keep up the good work. Murtala Yayame Igia. Good morning, my excellent radio presenters, Danjuma and Kubi, and guests. We all appreciate your good work you are doing. Please keep it up. Actually, the removal of subsidy in Nigeria brings a lot of confusion, tension everywhere. We are calling the government to do something about the situation of the citizens. I am calling on the community that where there is no distance, it should be tied on the legs, even if it is 5 kilometers, because of this blessed country of ours. Let's pray. God bless Nigeria and Plateau State, and do have a wonderful day from Murtala Yaya Meigia. Another person here, Sobagon Francis. Our situation here in Nigeria is always different. Leadership management is always in secrecy. Elected members have gotten all their pay of all types, smiling, while the masses are shortchanged. Up till now, the issues of salaries, adjustment for workers is silent. Some of the palliatives are shared in cups. In states, a hungry man is an angry lion. Asobagun is talking about salary increment and also the sharing formula of the palliative. We also have Honorable Balam as good morning to you all in the studio. For us to progress, as we must have to be patriotic, we the citizens of this country must begin to think of what to do for Nigeria first, not to wait for what Nigeria will do for us. Nigeria needs God-fearing leaders, just and fair, who have Nigeria and Nigeria in their heart. I appreciate our guests in the studio who cited example with some of our nationalists, e.g. Sir Ahmed Bello and Tafa Balewa. They took every Nigerian child as theirs, who employed so many Nigerians without looking at their religion, regional or ethnic background, leaders who sponsor students to study further without knowing their family background. But for our today's leaders, the reverse is the case. We expect that our present leaders should emulate our past leader in terms of serving humanity. I think I'll stop there for now because we have a lot of comments.
Oh my, we have a lot. Let's pick more calls. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Kubi. Good morning, Joseph.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank
Honestly,
you.
my brother, my name now, who they do us? The Nigeria government, they do us. My brother, I told you my history when I was in Dubai. That was United Arab Emirates.
Yes.
That time, during fasting like this, I told you, do I enjoy the place? But doesn't know whether you be Christian or you Muslim. It's only in Nigeria I was that are dividing us to sentiment and religion. But within them, they know that what they are doing us. In fact, Nigeria is a good patient to people. I'm so happy that I'm in Nigeria because I never see a country that has patients like our people. Because what they are trying to do, like Gabon, father ruled for 41 years, son ruled for 14 years. That is 65 years. And then the people that are capable in that country. Let me tell you, the same thing now is happening in Nigeria. Anything that APC will make sure that they will do so that they will rule Nigeria, they will do it. But are there really APC in party in Nigeria? Are there only the people that are capable in Nigeria? I'm so happy that I'm in Nigeria, that we are still get good people in Nigeria, that my country is a good people that are having a relationship a lot, that they cannot do that kind of thing. Honestly, otherwise, what is happening in Nigeria now have supposed to be taking, the crew have supposed to be taking over in Nigeria. But thank God for Nigeria people, they are patient people. Honestly, may God bless our country.
Thank you for
the guests have spoken well in this studio. May God bless him too.
Thank you very much,
God bless you,
Barnabas, for calling. This one says, good morning, Kulbi Danjuma Doro and the Prof. Kudos to the Prof. For the wonderful analysis. Honestly, our leaders must strive to be transparent by being self-disciplined, humble, fair, committed, honest, consistent, and lead by example. Okay, Vince Lambordi said, leaders aren't born, they are made, and they are made just like anything else, through hard work, and that is the price we will have to pay to achieve that goal or any goal. How I wish our leaders will have the political will to work hard. Nigeria will surely be great. God bless Nigeria. Christy Izan from Rukubaro. Thank you, Christy Izan. Very long.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Good morning. Hello, good morning.
Calling from Bochi Road.
Thank you very much, and amen to that.
Thank you very much. God continue to bless you people.
Amen.
I greet your guests in the studio.
Amen.
You're welcome.
You see, my take is this, Mr. Kobe.
Yes.
You see, Nigerians are good people.
Mm.
And Nigerians are always say, do not request for much.
Yes.
We just, the little you can give a Nigerian to just have his daily bread is okay for him.
Mm.
So, but you see, presently now, the way things are going, what bothers me is that when a government, an administration that has succeeded another administration, a previous administration is sometimes better than the one that succeeds the other. You see, that's what bothers me. It's long since 1999 now. You see that when Obasanjo left and Yaradua came in, people said it's better Obasanjo. You know, that was how it when Goodluck left, Buhari came in, people begin to praise Buhari, begin to praise Goodluck. Now when Buhari left and Asuwaju is on seat now,
yes.
You see that people are saying that the rate of hardship is causing Nigerians to be sad.
Mm. Thank
so
you.
it's that time our leaders do the needful. We pray that God give them the wisdom.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, and God bless Nigeria.
Amen.
That is well because we know one day Nigeria will still be great again.
Amen.
That you can even give out 100 naira to your child, and he can still come back home with change for you.
Amen.
You understand? But because presently now things are not just funny.
Mm. Thank
so
you.
God help us in this nation.
Amen.
God continue to bless our leaders.
Amen. Thank you very much, Adeumi. Benjamin, any more?
Yeah, from the Facebook page, we have these comments also. Good morning, Kubi, and the guest in the house. Thank you so much. Hitting the nail on the head on the root cause of Nigerian problem, which is leadership. I look at politics as an acronym, which means power of leadership in tackling issues concerning scarcity. All right. Thank you. That's from Bitrus Dauda. We have Mohammed Musa Baza. Good morning, gentlemen of the press and Prof. I want to commend you guys for an objective analysis. I want to also commend the Prof for his wonderful analysis. 2, I agree with the Prof that the major problem we're having in Africa is leadership, but we can't exonerate the followers too. Most especially in Nigeria, our leaders are the reflection of who we are as a people. It's only in Nigeria you will find a poor man supporting a government just because he shares tribe, religion, affiliation with the person at the helm of affairs, even if he's the most hit as a result of bad policy by the same person. It's only in Nigeria you find a poor praying for a government to fail just because he didn't share the same affiliation with the person at helm of affairs, even if he must benefit the most beneficial of the government policy. That's from Mohammed Baza from Masalachin Juma. And then the last one we'll take again says, we appreciate you all in the studio. That's from Charity Hali. The removal of subsidy has brought a lot of hardship to the populace. Feeding is a huge concern now. Our leaders should do something. I beg, she added broken to it.
I beg. You know, when Nigeria begins to I beg, the situation has become... Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. We're fine.
Hello?
Fine. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hello?
Okay, I think we barely can hear him, or it's like he's not getting us clear. Yes, that might even be our last caller for today, except for this one that is coming in. We are lucky to have him. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Uncle B.
We are lucky to have you.
Thank you very much. This is Suna from Dallas.
We are so lucky and glad to have you. You have a minute, please.
Thank you very much. I have to be brief. Yesterday, there is a question you asked,
Yes.
Just a very short answer. You said the leader should do something that is right. I was following Oga Prof. You said we get it right. If all the present leaders follow the leadership of the founding fathers, that's a way they a good hand for pocket. You know that it will not change. Thanks and God bless.
Oh, thank you. I think he's going figurative there. I don't seem to get it quite well, but we trust her. Okay. I apologize.
Hello?
I have to pick this call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you very much. You may speak for... All right, that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, what's your point? All right. Prof, let's just give this time to you so that you respond to some of this. We have just 5 minutes to be out of here.
Yeah, you know, if you look at what happened in Gabon, where one dynasty, one family ruled for 55, 56 years, and you compare it with Nigeria, even though we do not have the same family ruling us, but we've been recycling the same set of leaders. APC is the same as PDP, they're the same as ACN and the rest. They're just using different names. The same key players in APC today are the same people who are in PDP. So they are one and the same cycle of people who have been in leadership of the country since 1999, when this present democratic dispensation started. So you just have them forming different parties, different names and whatever, but you cannot really say that they have a defined ideology that is clearly different from, you know, the other group. So that is one of the challenges we're having in the country. We don't have people who believe in an ideology, a political ideology, and they're ready to stick to that political ideology till death. Go to the US. No Republican wants to be a Democrat. No Democrat wants to be a Republican. You don't see all this cross-carpeting, jumping from one party to the other, just because your own interests, you know, was not taken care of in your party. You go to another party just to gratify yourself. You don't see it there. They just believe in Republican ideology. They believe in the Democrats' ideology and all that. But we don't have that kind of thing here in the country. People are looking for where they can benefit. That's why you see somebody from an opposition party, he would just join whichever the ruling party, you know, as long as he can get an appointment and get something to eat, you know, and all that. He doesn't care. Somebody who has cursed a particular party before, he is in that party. He called them witches and everything, but you know, he has joined them. He has become a witch. He has become a witch. So,
that's Nigeria.
Unfortunately, we don't have sound politicians who have ideology, who believe in service to the people, who believe in sacrificing for the people. What we have are a bunch of people who want to rub their own ego, want to satisfy themselves, who want to be seen to be in power. That's why once they get into politics, they never come out. They want to remain there for the rest of their lives. And, you know, that's why I'm proposing for this country, let's make politics unattractive. By the time we make it unattractive, we know who are servant leaders. The senators, all these entitlement they're getting, let's begin to pay senators the salary of teachers, primary school teachers. We pay them the salary of primary school teachers. Let's see how many of them will remain senators. How many of them will remain members of the House of Rep. It is then we will know that we have people who have a heart of service, who are ready to sacrifice for the greatness of Nigeria. Nigeria has a great future, but we need leaders who believe in the greatness of Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Prof. Denjuma, any final words? We have just
as I always say, I would like to appreciate my followers here. Ibrahim Hassan Abubakar, Yusuf Lawan Sanyem, Gunda, Mariam Dasukina Kande, Ali Saya, Ali Hassan Muhammad, Musbah Husani, Sadiq Sagamu Abdullahi. Sorry, that's the much we can take this morning because time is not on our side, but we appreciate you for following.
Oh, Prof, once again, thank you so much. We look forward to having more and more of you in the studio.
My pleasure.
And Denjuma, thank you. It's good to be with you today. And of course, don't forget, you have a special invitation to Just Christians Refugee for Our Children Foundation. JCRCF, Jos Plateau State, Nigeria, invites you to her Thanksgiving anniversary celebrations and launching of magazine, children audio album, and display of handcrafted products. Date is on Sunday, 3rd September 2023, 9 a.m. and venue is JCRFCF Chapel of Grace Auditorium behind the Phototech Abattoir Jos. You can take advantage of our wide coverage on radio, TV, live streaming on Facebook and YouTube to promote your events, goods and services at a very affordable price. For commercial and advert placement, just call 0808-478-9999. Thank you. God bless you. Tomorrow is going to be another beautiful day. Bye-bye.
Mr. Politician, it's good to see you again. It's been so long since you've been here. You had me thinking you were dead. How's your taxpayer mansion? How was your
Unity TV?